will love getting it in the mail with their name on it.
He's proud to have his name on. He's proud. He feels like he's a part of something much bigger.
Give it to your children or grandchildren today.
Our granddaughter is 10 years old, and she insisted that we give her a subscription to Sports Illustrated for Kids because all the kids at school were talking about it.
Giving Sports Illustrated for Kids is a gift of learning, a gift for a lifetime.
So call now, use your credit card, and discover what millions of parents already know, that Sports Illustrated for Kids is the magazine that your kids will love.
Now that Mark is reading, I can't get him to stop reading.
My son is reading now because of Sports Illustrated for Kids.
We think reading is #1 in importance, and this is an easy way to start that process.
Sports Illustrated for Kids is an awesome magazine.
Scott Case has played a whale of a game today, putting the hits on. Out of the shotgun and 4 wide receivers again against the Cowboy nickel with Bates in the middle. Here's a pass in the flat, picked up by the Cowboys. Larry Brown may score at the 30.
The Dallas Cowboys have won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Will 1996 bring yet another Vince Lombardi trophy? 29 other NFL teams are out to stop them. The National Football League. No other professional sport has such compelling appeal. Witness the artistry, the intensity, the spectacle.
Marcus dives over for the touchdown for Kansas City. His 100th career rushing touchdown.
Move over, James Lofton. You've just been passed by Jerry Rice in the record book.
And Dan Marino has the granddaddy of them all now. Most touchdown passes ever.
It's America's autumn ritual, stirring up passions that only a hometown fan can understand. I'm Peter King of Sports Illustrated, your host for the 1996 Seattle Seahawks Video Yearbook, featuring a retrospective of last year's team entitled Resurrection, the story of the 1995 Seattle Seahawks, plus a special Seahawks classic, a profile of John L. Williams, one of the franchise's most productive offensive weapons. How do today's Seahawks stack up against the competition? Let's take a look at the 1996 Seattle Seahawks Video Yearbook.
We accept the challenge we got today. We know how to win. Let's play with some heart. Let's play with some soul. And let's kick some today. Right? Let's go. Here we go. Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3. Defense.
Fires for Galloway, makes the catch at the 35 to the 30. He's on his way. Galloway caught it. He was off to the races. Ford gets a block. 45, 50. Just cuts back. 40. He may go. 30, 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Seahawks for Ford. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Slant, go to Bates. 35, 30, maybe gone. Going Bates for the 10. Touchdown, Seattle.
Before the season even began, the Seattle Seahawks celebrated one of their proudest moments when the first player in team history earned football's highest individual accolade.
It tested and shaped my character. I've seen the glory of this game. To be here in this place, at this moment, for this reason, is an honor beyond all my expectations. I owe you my deepest thanks. Thank you.
Little more than a month later, the man many consider to be the club's greatest defensive player ever was saluted back in Seattle. 12-year veteran Jacob Green, the team's all-time sack leader, became only the 6th member to be voted into the Seahawks Ring of Honor. Even as the Seahawks acknowledged their great stars of the past, they were focusing even more attention on the present. An exciting era was about to begin under the leadership of new head coach Dennis Erickson.
Well, our immediate goals were to try to develop some unity among our football team. Everything was new. It was a learning experience, not just for the players and the system, but for myself as the head football coach. The bottom line is that they want to win and they want to be successful. And if you can help them do that, then they're going to do what you ask them to do.
Erickson's first task was molding a coaching staff, blending those already in Seattle with assistance from the college ranks.
You're only as good as the people that are working for you. You're only as good as your assistants, and you're kind of the head of a corporation, basically, and give them responsibilities and know that they're going to do it. And I really believe the teams that are successful, as you look in the NFL and football in general, most of the time the same coach, the same organization, the same people have been there working together all the time. You've been able to keep your staff together, and to me, that's how you got to be successful, is continuity as far as the head coach and as far as the assistants are concerned.
The next goal, revamping an attack strong on the ground, but in need of improvement in the deep passing game.
In any offense, and ours particularly, it starts at quarterback, and Rick Meyer at times played really well. At times he struggled a little bit because of the new system, and he was injured.
We've been 6-10 twice, and I hope those days are over. But I don't want to just be here for the ride. I think I'm as competitive as any of these guys. I think I'm durable. I'm smaller than most, but I'm maybe a little shiftier than most. But I'm going to win somehow. With a little luck, stay healthy, keep the guys on the field. We're pretty good.
The receiving corps was talented and deep. Even without the injured Ricky Prohl, Rob Thomas and James McKnight were still productive targets. And Carlester Crumpler and Christian Fourier transformed the tight end position from glorified tackle to a legitimate pass-catching weapon.
Meyer rolls left to throw with great protection. Looks, fires, caught by Fourier. Touchdown, Seahawks! That's a big-time play for a first-year player.
The Seahawks' best third-down receiver remained Brian Blades, a quarterback security blanket when trouble loomed. Nobody caught more passes than Blades, the 5th time he has led the club in that category. In 1995, Blades teamed with rookie Joey Galloway to give the Seahawks their first pair of 1,000-yard receivers in franchise history.
Back to throw is Meyer, up the right side, got it to Blades, 20, 15, touchdown Seahawks, Brian Blades! Blades eluded one defender and was gone.
Erickson's newly designed passing offense finally hit its stride in the Week 3 matchup against the unbeaten Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, y'all, we got a new sheriff in town, goes by the name of Erickson. And boy, are we going to do some Bengal stomping today. Yeah!
A splendid balance of run and pass racked up over 400 yards. The first time any Seahawk team had reached that total since 1988.
Here we go. Here we go.
Split backs as Meyer drops the throw. Flares it out. Caught by Smith. Touchdown, Seahawks. Steve Smith.
The Bengals were baffled all afternoon as Rick Meyer notched season highs in completions and yardage.
Meyer looks. Now scrambling to his right. Rick to throw. Fires the bomb up the right side to Rob Thomas. Touchdown, Seahawks, Rob Thomas! Now almost Rob Thomas in that situation almost going to call a fair catch because there was nobody near him. Let's go, baby! Let's get off! Make yourself off! Oh! The pitch to Chris around the right side. Gets a block from House Fowler to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Chris Ward! Well, that may be the score that seals the deal on Dennis Erickson's first regular season win.
I'll tell you what, man, that's a great win. I tell you, it was a great effort on both sides of the football offensively when you took it down and scored after they scored. And defensively, to haul him out of there, to make that guy kick that long field goal. I'll tell you what, it was a hell of a win. Let's build on it. Let's get a hell of a lot more, okay? Good job.
First win.
Erickson didn't have to wait long to pick up his second NFL coaching victory. Following a week off, the Seahawks won their first game ever after a bye as they literally soared over the Denver Broncos. The Seahawk offense controlled the ball for nearly 40 minutes with a clock-consuming passing attack and a prodigious ground game led by running back Chris Warren.
Give to Warren, leaps over the top. Warren, touchdown, Seahawks. Quick snap, give to Warren at the 5. Chris, touchdown, Seahawks. Warren broke the plane for his third rushing touchdown of the afternoon.
In 1995, Warren became the first Seahawk to be named a team MVP in consecutive seasons. He gained 1,000+ yards on the ground for the 4th straight time. Finished second only to the Cowboys' Emmitt Smith in rushing touchdowns and earned his first ever start in the Pro Bowl.
Give to Warren on the drop. Finds an opening. 25-20. Warren to the 15, down to the 10. Touchdown, Seahawks, Chris Warren. He goes 29 yards right up the middle.
In a year when the Seahawks offense enjoyed their greatest scoring and yardage productivity in nearly a decade, the centerpiece of their attack indisputably remained Chris Warren.
This guy just powers through people, and those that he can't run through, he runs around with his great speed. The second leading rusher in the AFC, but you couldn't tell anybody that in the Kingdom. This guy is the best running back in all of football for what he can do, at least to the folks in the Northwest. And I'm talking about Barry Sanders and the rest.
After 2 impressive wins, the Seahawks appeared ready to stand eyeball to eyeball with any opponent. But they received a rude welcome in Oakland, a defeat which set off a discouraging 4-game losing streak. The most painful of the losses came in a turnover-plagued overtime battle against the Cardinals.
Freeze to throw. Good protection. Fires up the right side. Intercepted. Taken out of the air by the Cardinals. Lorenzo Lynch. Lynch to the 30, to the 20. He's gone. Arizona wins the ball game.
Unbelievable finish to the wildest football game I have ever seen.
The experts pronounced the Seahawks finished, but Coach Erickson and his players ignored the obituaries. Their resurrection began against the Giants, propelled by 2 touchdown receptions from Brian Blades. But this victory belonged to the special teams, sparked by the longest punt return of the NFL season.
Jason Galloway back to his own 13-yard line. Joey backpedals, gets to the 10, out of the 15, breaks it to the 20, to the 25, Galloway to the 30, 35, 40, may go. Galloway to the 40, to the 30, he won't catch him, touchdown, Seahawks, going Galloway.
A late Giants comeback was blunted by a game-winning field goal from Todd Peterson, who finished the year with 109 points, the second highest total in franchise history. He formed a deadly kicking tandem with Rick Tootin, who led the entire NFL in punting average. Tootin's towering shots were quickly followed by jarring coverage from such suicide squatters as Jason Kyle, Ronnie Harris, Jay Bellamy, James Logan, Tony Covington, Michael McCrary, and special teams captain Trey Junkin. On the receiving end, Steve Broussard became only the second Seahawk ever to amass 1,000 yards on kickoff returns, while setting a team record for kick return average. But nobody on the Seahawks, or the league for that matter, dialed long distance better than Joey Galloway. Galloway led the team in punt returns and set club rookie records for catches and yardage. But it was his end zone extravaganzas that truly raised eyebrows. Joey scored 9 touchdowns last season. His average gain, an incredible 48 yards per scoring play.
Short drop by Meyer. Looks left, lobs it up there to Galloway. He leaps, makes the grab. Galloway stretches out. Touchdown, Seahawks, Joey Galloway.
Galloway's finest performance came at Jacksonville, where he hauled in 2 touchdown receptions, then broke off the NFL's longest and most spectacular run from scrimmage in 1995.
Meyer turns and gives on the end around to Galloway. He's back at the 5. Galloway trying to get to the corner, does at the 15. Galloway reversing his field once again. He's got some room. 20, 25, 30. Galloway may go. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. Galloway, touchdown, Seahawks, Joey Galloway.
The 89-yarder was part of a season high for rushing yardage as Seattle rolled over the Jaguars. In '95, only the Cowboys and Chiefs ran the ball better than the Seahawks, whose ground game was keyed by a superb offensive line. The unit was anchored by 12-year center Jim Sweeney. On the right side, Howard House Ballard and sophomore guard Kevin Mawai were an ideal blend of youth and experience. Sharing time on the left were Matt Joyce, James Atkins, Jeff Blackshear, and Ray Roberts, whose blocking abilities were especially appreciated by Seattle's well-stocked pool of running backs. Chris Warren's supporting cast each boasted their own special capabilities. Number 36, Lamar Smith, averaged nearly 6 yards every time he carried the ball. And when he wasn't returning kicks, Steve Broussard was the ideal third down back as a runner or receiver. At fullback, the blocking prowess of Tracy Johnson and Steve Smith and the scoring talents of number 38, Max Strong, afforded the Seahawks the most versatile backfield in the business. Once again, the cornerstone of the Seahawks' defensive front was Cortez Kennedy. Despite constant double-teaming, Kennedy tied for the team lead in sacks and was voted to the Pro Bowl a 5th straight time, something no other Seahawk has ever accomplished. Kennedy was paired at tackle with young Sam Adams, number 98, who split time with the ageless Joe Nash, number 72. The 14-year wonder has now played more games in a Seahawk uniform than anyone else in team history. On the outside, number 93, Brent Williams, provided a veteran presence for such youngsters as the quick-striking Michael Sinclair, number 70, who could track down ball carriers in the blink of an eye. Despite starting only 7 games, number 94, Antonio Edwards, still tied for the lead in sacks, providing much-needed speed to the Seahawks' total defensive package. If opposing quarterbacks somehow eluded Seattle's front four, a casual glance over the shoulder spotted more trouble in the form of Seattle's veteran linebacking corps, which featured hot-pursuing Winston Moss, Dean Wells, Tyrone Stowe, and Dwayne Bickett. Seattle's most consistent defender was Largent Award winner Terry Wooden. If stardom was based solely on self-promotion, the introverted Wooden would simply be another face in the crowd. Fortunately, on-field performance is the only barometer that truly matters, and it is where Wooden excels. In 1995, Wooden logged more solo tackles than any player in Seahawk history. His sideline-to-sideline aggressiveness halted drives and turned trouble into treasure. The fact that Terry still hasn't made it to the Pro Bowl reflects poorly on the voting process, not the player himself. Wooden set the tempo for the rest of the defense, and the secondary did its best to maintain his torrid pace. Starters Carlton Gray, Corey Harris, Robert Blackman, and Eugene Robinson, along with nickelbacks Selwyn Jones, Tony Brown, and Raphael Robinson, intercepted passes. But they made their most indelible marks on opposing runners and receivers, who paid dearly for the yardage they gained, usually carting home black and blue souvenirs as unwanted proof. The hits kept on coming in a Week 14 win against the playoff-bound Eagles. Seattle's defense put together its best showing of the season, shackling the NFL's second-ranked rushing attack. While Philadelphia's runners were stopped cold, the Seahawks' ground game was the determining factor in the upset victory.
Myers short drop, quarterback draw to the 10. Myers to the 5, breaks the tackle, 5. Touchdown Seahawks, Rick Meyer.
I'll tell you what, Rick Meyer enjoys hearing what he's hearing right now, and that is cheers. And that whole drive was based on Rick Meyer's ability. That's a great drive.
But Rick's fortunes shifted dramatically a week later in Denver. By the second quarter, a shoulder separation sent Meyer to the bench with his team far behind. But then the Seahawk defense rose up to make its most important play of the season.
Elway to throw. Hammered, fumbles the football, picked up by the Seahawks. Antonio Edwards, he may go all the way. Antonio to midfield, to the 40, to the 30. They'll never catch him. Antonio Edwards, 83 yards in the fumble recovery for a touchdown.
The Seahawks had not won at Mile High Stadium since 1988. But with reserve quarterback John Freeze leading the way, Seattle's offense erupted to mount the greatest comeback in franchise history.
Here's the give to Warren in the middle. Finds the hole, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, Chris Warren.
Good play call upstairs, 3rd and 3, and Warren just runs right by everybody for 6.
4:14 left to go in the game. Freeze got it off. Freeze looks, he throws, it's bat in the air, caught by Galloway, touchdown Seahawks.
Sometimes it pays to be lucky.
57 seconds left to go in the game. Freeze looks, he dumps it to Warren, wide open 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Chris Warren. Unbelievable.
70,000 people absolutely stunned at Mile High Stadium.
The game represented the season in microcosm. Left for dead, Seattle had rallied against overwhelming odds to prevail in the end. Dennis Erickson's Seahawks had now leaped from long shots to legitimate playoff contenders. A sellout Kingdome crowd and a national primetime TV audience looked on when the hated Oakland Raiders arrived for a crucial Week 16 showdown.
Get blocked, get off the block, let's go, baby, run it. We'll go middle, deep middle, our 5 let's go, baby. We'll run it, swarm on 3. 1, 2, 3, swarm!
Single setback is Warren, gets it on the draw. Chris to the 15, inside the 10, down to the 5. Chris keeps going, touchdown, Seahawks, Chris Warren.
The running game faced an offense that scored on each of its first 5 possessions.
Get depth, you see the guy go right to the outside number. I mean, you know, go to take up the slack. The Chris is trying, I mean, there's a huge hole. Boom.
Freeze will give to Warren off the left side, cuts it back to the middle. Chris spins to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Chris Warren.
There are Oakland Raider defenders just standing around looking at each other. 5 or 6 of them had a shot at Chris Warren.
That's the way to play ball.
How's the hell of a job, Chris? Yeah, man. Awesome, dude. Those guys are talking the whole way down. Whole way down. Sweet.
Tracy Johnson and Chris Warren in the eye, back to throw Freeze. Firing the bomb up the right side. Wide open is Galloway. Touchdown, Seahawks, Joey Galloway. There wasn't anybody within 15 yards of him. Hello. Is anybody home?
Home for Seattle's defense proved to be the pass pocket, where Raider quarterbacks fell early and often. The unending pressure up front increased the opportunity for a big play by the Seahawks secondary.
Gene, Tiffany, we got purple personnel, 33 bucks. Corners are out. And make sure you stay in the middle, okay? You should have a danger call on this one. Well, we're trying to, that's not a running back, that's a wide receiver. That's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. It should still be a danger call. You got 2 and 2.
Soon the only thing in danger was any chance of an Oakland victory.
And the ball comes loose. Seahawks are after it. It's still loose. Big scramble for it. Seahawks pick it up. Here comes Harris. He's going to go. Corey Harris. Touchdown, Corey Harris. He goes all the way. Oh, baby. Can you believe it?
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Fittingly, the final touches on Seattle's highest point total in a decade were provided by Chris Warren.
Pitch to Warner on the left side. Gets one block. Chris is going to cut back down to his right. Gets the 35-30. Warren to the 25-20. Chris Warren, touchdown, Seahawks! Yeah! Seahawk offense really looking good here today.
Seattle had done more than demolish a bitter rival. By winning, the Seahawks posted their best record in 5 years. More importantly, they had come all the way back, resurrecting what appeared to be a lost season into a season of redemption and great promise for 1996. For 20 years, the Seahawks had been an integral part of Pacific Northwest life and a regular Sunday habit for the region's fans. Yet the early days of 1996 were a winter of discontent as the fate of the team was darkened by clouds of uncertainty. But the Seahawks were dramatically saved by an unprecedented offer from a native son of the Northwest. The terms were simple. Multimedia magnate Paul G. Allen had acquired a 14-month option to buy the ball club, with the full intention of keeping it right in Seattle.
First of all, let me say that I am thrilled and honored to be part of maintaining the proud tradition of professional football in Seattle. Like many of you, I am a football fan and longtime supporter of the team. I feel it's important for our city's economy, civic pride, and national visibility that this NFL franchise remain in town under diligent local ownership. The deal Ken Behring and I signed last weekend is the first step towards accomplishing that goal. It is my hope that the fans and citizens of Seattle will also step up to the plate and voice their support by purchasing tickets and attending the games. I plan to be in the Kingdom cheering the team on next season and hope that many of you will join me there.
Paul Allen is hardly a stranger to the citizens of Seattle. He was born, raised, and educated in Washington, where he co-founded the highly successful Microsoft Corporation. Since that time, Allen has been at the forefront of the computer and digital communications revolution, while also pursuing his sporting interests as owner of the NBA's Portland Trail Blazers. Through the 4 Allen charitable foundations, he has supported medicine and the arts throughout the region, which includes establishing a museum devoted to Seattle's own Jimi Hendrix. Like his musical idol, Allen, too, has now become a local hero.
I think Paul Allen was the only owner who could have come in and saved this situation because he's a local guy, and he's also been a tremendously loyal guy to the state of Washington. He's got all this business in Oregon. He's got the Portland Trail Blazers, but he's never left Washington. And so now they have a guy who's their own, who they can feel at home with. Plus, Seattle didn't deserve to lose its team. Seattle has been a very loyal city to its team. You know, the fans in Seattle have been through a lot recently with the Seahawks, and I think that still, if you were to poll NFL players, maybe the Kingdom wouldn't be number 1 as far as the place where players least like to play because of fan involvement and noise, but it'd be very close. So it's been a great place for the Seahawks to gain a home field advantage over the years.
The Kingdom should be louder than ever in '96 as the Seahawks field their most talented squad in recent memory.
Well, we'll be an improved football team just because we've been in the system for a year, and I've been in the NFL for a year, and I learned a lot, and just that will make us better. We have a lot of players coming back, and my philosophy is that you try to keep the main part of your football team all the time. by signing them early or whatever, so you're not losing players. I think that's probably more important than gaining players from free agency. Just don't lose a lot of them. Try to keep continuity in your football team.
Seattle also obtained offensive line help for Chris Warren and company in the college draft when they made Boston College's Pete Kendall their first-round selection. Another draft day acquisition has brought in number 94 veteran Oilers defensive tackle Glenn Montgomery, who will be joined on defense by former Bengals safety Darrell Williams, number 31. Williams, a star for Dennis Erickson at Miami, is thrilled to be reunited with his college coach in 1996. These additions to the current roster should accelerate the improvement shown during last year's second-half comeback, rewarding Seattle's fans, who deserve nothing less than a winner.
They're going to see a football team that plays very hard. They'll see an exciting football team, a football team that's got a lot of playmakers on offense, and Chris and Rick and Joey, and they'll see a defensive team that flies around, and it'll be exciting, and that's what fans are looking for.
The traumatic days of the recent past are gone. The excitement created by the promise of new ownership and a roster filled with rising stars has rekindled the love affair between a team and their devoted followers of the Pacific Northwest.
Now that you've seen the '95 Seahawks highlights, let's take a trip back into Seattle history. For 8 years, fullback John L. Williams did everything his coaches asked of him. Blocking, running between the tackles, third down receiving. These were all skills Williams mastered. No one on the Seahawks did more or worked harder than John L. Williams.
It's only a short drive from the banks of the St. James River to this handsome, custom-built home in rural Palatka, Florida. The residents are the family of former Seattle Seahawks fullback John L. Williams, relatives who keep in close touch with Palatka's favorite son, even though he's thousands of miles from home.
I call him every night and talk to my mom, and I tell her what's going on, and she tells me to hang in there and keep going, and she strengthens me up every time that I talk to her on the phone, and it makes me feel so good that they realize what I am going through out there on the football field.
The field was where this small-town kid made good, reaching stardom after honoring the time-honored NFL tradition of paying his dues. The number 1 pick of the Seahawks in 1986 joined his new team and was entrusted with one crucial task: preserve, protect, and defend Seattle's marquee player, running back Kurt Warner.
My first year, I just kind of just sat back and learned a lot from Kurt. And it's kind of tough being behind a guy like Kurt, because when the publicity come around, it's all geared towards that one guy. And it's no big deal towards me, because the only thing that I'm out there to do is to win. And when Kurt's out there, he get his 100 yards or he get his 1,000 yards a year. I know that I was a part of that.
Williams was also the battering ram for the inside running game. Seattle's collector of the tough and ugly yardage that moves the chains and keeps drives afloat. It wasn't until his second season that John L. finally reached the end zone, but by then his coaches realized that Williams had more to contribute to the team beyond his blocking abilities.
And that helps me out a whole lot. It gave me a whole lot of confidence to know that I can do a whole lot more things than just run up in there and ram my head into somebody and help somebody else out.
John L. could catch the ball as well as any back, but even better were his incredible journeys of improvisation. These unplotted, instinctive jaunts surprised and delighted Pacific Northwest fans and left dizzy defenders grasping at air.
Probably one of the most versatile players in the game today in that he blocks, he runs very well, he's got very deceptive speed, and he's an excellent receiver. And he likes to do all those different things. Some guys are a little more one-dimensional, but nowadays, in the types of systems that we have, he's the type of guy that never comes out because he can do all those things.
He's a dangerous person. I mean, they're always looking for him. If he's not carrying the ball or blocking somebody, he's getting out in the open, and he'll take a 5-yard pass and turn it into a 25-yard gain. You just never know when he's going to explode. And I think that he takes a lot of pressure off our offense because they always have to account for him. They always have to know where John L. is. He's just got a real uncanny sense of the game and where everybody is. He's a real good vision. He just knows how to play the game.
When I come out of the backfield, I can catch the little short passes, and I can elude one guy, and then sometimes it's wide open. And as far as running, I got the speed to get outside, and it helps me out a lot because you got a lot of those guys in there that just don't realize how fast I am, and they may take the wrong angle or something, and I get in a position where I can break another tackle and I can go all the way.
John L. gets the call, off right guard, breaks a tackle, goes down the right sideline, and touchdown Seahawks! John L. taking it 35 yards to the promised land for 6.
John L. Williams, a few years ago, nobody knew who he was. The last couple of years, the guy just turned it on. All of a sudden, boom. He becomes a big factor when you're making that game plan. First line always reads, stop John L. Williams.
The Bears couldn't stop him in Seattle's playoff clinching game of 1987. Nor could the Raiders contain Williams a year later when they battled the Seahawks for the AFC Western Division title.
The Raiders were ahead of us, and we decided to run the same play. Same play we did in Chicago, where I had a 75-yard run in. And I would learn if it didn't work out the same way it worked out in Chicago.
With Malcolm Taylor playing on the inside, Craig fakes the pitch back, drops back to pass, throws a little medium screen, it's caught at the 30-yard line, 35, John L. breaks up field, and looks right at it, breaks into the open, and could be on his way for a touchdown. Pursued from behind at the 5, touchdown Seahawks!
I told you that's going to be a big play. Malcolm Taylor was chasing you down, bud.
And we knew right then that it was for real, and it was just such a big thrill on the sideline, knowing that it was our first divisional championship that we would win.
The postseason awards, those things might escape them, but I think people around the NFL, particularly the players, they know who John L. is, because when I go someplace during the offseason, they talk about John L., how he can catch, how he can run, his great blocking abilities, which I respect immensely. I think he's one of the better football players in all of the NFL. The notoriety is there amongst his peers, the guys playing in the NFL, and I think that's what counts the most.
John L. Williams, one of the most prolific and most respected players in Seahawks history.